On this first album, underneath this twine, I have a magnetic little piece that's just fun to play with. It sticks there with the magnet, and you can take it off. This page does not open it, so I just pieced it that way. So I wanted to show you real quick how to make one if you wanted to. I have put a magnet on the back side of this little bits and pieces ephemera, so it's right on the back. Then I glued it to a piece of paper and fussy cut around it. So I have the magnet inside, and then you just take an opposing magnet and attach it like that. And we're going to peel the backing off and position this where you want it to stick down. So I'm going to do it about right there. And then I'm going to lift my tint off. And then I'm going to put a piece of score tape over this magnet, and then I'm going to go ahead and put pattern paper down. So that's how you decorate. Add one of these little magnetic pieces to it. So now you put the pattern paper down and it is there. The weight of it also helps hold this piece down more. So I'm going to get back to adding pattern paper. So I have been adding my pattern papers into my little album that you see here on the back, my second one that I'm working on. This is the first one. And I made the second one because I had a design flaw that I didn't like. So I changed it in this one and then redid the video so it showed it correctly. However, I should have changed something else on this one, and I don't know why I didn't think of that at the time. So I'm going to correct it, and I think this is something that you need to see so that you know that when you've designed something and it doesn't quite work right, that hope is not gone, that you don't have to toss it in the trash. You can fix things. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to fix it. However, in my cutting guide, I'm going to put the correct measurements that you need to cut and score, and then I will put a little blurb on the video where the process is in this video so that you'll know there is a difference. So you don't have to do this repair part or alteration on yours, but I'm going to show you how I'm altering mine so that you have that knowledge for some time that you might need it on something that you've designed or been working on. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the first one. I don't think I'm going to change it because it's already got all the paper on it. But this right here, this little 1/4 inch, I think it works much better if it were a 1/2 inch. And so I'm going to change it. So that gives you more balance on this side for where it's thicker here on the inside. Not a big deal, but it's something that I think I would like a lot better. So I'm going to show you how to change that. Okay, to change this gusset from a 1/4 inch here to a 1/2 inch, I have cut off this flap. Now remember, you're not going to have to do this if you're following the cutting guide that I'm going to have the correct measurements and scoring. But this is in case you have created something where you feel you need a wider gusset space and it's a flap. Can't necessarily do that on album pages, but for this, I think there's an easy fix for this. So what I did is I took my hefty, husky box cutter. I like to use a box cutter. And since this was a flap, here, opened it up, and I just trimmed it right off. Took a little bit of sandpaper, if needed, and just cleaned that up. So now we have the book without that flap. So we're going to change this 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch flap. It's easy to do it because I realized this before I added my pattern paper to the outside of the album. I'm not going to cut off this 1/4 inch flap here. I'm going to use it to build up this section here because you need something. I don't want to cover this pattern paper. I want to keep it. So I'm going to put glue on the back side of my little 1/4 inch. So this is the way it was. I have to think ahead on what I'm doing. So I'm going to put glue here on the 1/4 inch. My glue is stopped up, so let's try it again. I always have this problem when my glue bottle's getting a little bit lower. It's not as full for some reason. But I can usually get it to working again. So here we go. Oops, a little more than I wanted, but we want it to stick. So what I did is I measured 6.5 inch long by 1.5 piece of the cardstock. I scored it at 1/2 inch and 1 inch to get me 3 1/2 inch spaces. So I have 2 hinges, and then I have the 1/2 inch gusset. So I'm going to attach this 1/4 inch, and you've got to make sure you're doing it straight, right onto this 1/2 inch. It looks like mine may be a little longer, so I'm going to line it up on the bottom, and then I will trim this off. So this probably was not exactly 6.5. I cut mine to 6.5. So now I'm going to burnish that in, and then here where it's a little bit too long, it's like 1/8 too long. Just going to trim that off. Okay, so now I have extended this. I have made it have a 1/2 inch gusset with this flap. Now then, I want to cover this part up. I don't want to peel this up, and I don't want it uneven, so I cut another 1/2 inch, well actually just under a 1/2 inch piece of cardstock. And I did cut it 6.5, so I'm going to trim that off. Trim off that little bit of 1/8 of an inch right there. And this is going to go over this piece to even out where the 1/4 inch is attached to the 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do that on one side. We're going to lay it over it within the fold lines. I'm going to burnish that. Then we need to cover it with pattern paper. So I've cut that. And again, this is a little long. So we're going to attach this down. We're going to put pattern paper on both sides of this hinge. So this one's going here. Okay. Hoping this all works. Clean up any excess in here. So this is going to make it thicker in here. Now turn it over. And you're going to want to put the paper here on this one on this side. So I'm going to cut this one off also. Once I get this fixed the way I want it, and if it all works well, and if I hadn't told you or wasn't doing a tutorial, you wouldn't have never known that there was a fix up here. Okay, so there's our flap with the 1/2 inch. Now we're going to put it back on our book. And it's going to go. And you know what I did? I only need 1 inch. I didn't need a 1.5 inch. Okay, so we're going to cut this one off. Let me grab my big scissors. So I only needed a 1 inch piece. Don't know what I was thinking. It has not been a good week. Had a lot of things going on I've had to take care of. Okay, so we cut that off. Because this is the attaching hinge. So you need, because I attached the 1/4 inch, you only need a 1 inch hinge scored in the middle at a 1/2 inch. Now we take the book and we're going to put glue on the inside here of this 1/2 inch that's going to attach to the cover, which will end up being covered with pattern paper. So I'm putting my glue here. So this will make this extension, and I'm going to line this up right here. Make sure it doesn't go over the fold line. Now we're still going to have a little bit of lift. Oops, got to get that stuck on there though first. let me work with that. Burnish this down. Make sure it sticks. That's why I cut it a little longer, because the cover is 6.5. But the little flap was not. So everybody wants to fall out. Okay. Now that it's attached, it does lay down. It gives more volume for this part. I could have gone with 3/4, but I didn't want to be that much. And I think this gives it a little more, where it lays down a little better. See it in there? So I'm happy with that. And now I'm ready to pattern the outside of this album. And I think I have a few more things to do on the inside. And then I'll be back to share that with you. I have finished patterning the inside of the album and adding my little decorative elements. So I am now ready to put pattern paper on the outside and on the spine. So first I cut my pieces of paper and inked them. So I have 2 of this print that I cut 4 1/4 wide by 6 3/8 tall. One goes on the front, one goes on the back. You'll notice they're a little shorter here on the spine side. That's because I'm going to wrap. If you're wanting to cover yours entirely and then only put pattern paper within the spine and leave the cardstock color showing on the fold, then you would need to measure and make this wider. Okay, so I've got those 2, and then to wrap the spine, I cut this brown animal prints, footprints, and it is 3 1/4 inches wide by the 6 3/8 tall, because that's going to wrap around there. So first let's get these 2 on. I'm going to kind of open this up a little bit to put this here, and I'm going to put this one on the front. And so I'll go ahead and use my art glitter glue. So you do want to put your front and back papers on first if you're wrapping this. And I'm going to put it more to the edge here. Right there. And then down. We're going to burnish this down. There's the front side, and now we'll do the one for the back. And then after we get the cover done, we'll be ready to put our elastic piece in the spine to keep it closed, our closure piece. Okay. So now we need to prep this, and I'm going to use score tape, and I want this side to be my side that you see, so I'm going to put score tape on this, and I am going to use my 1 inch first. If you have the sheets, you can also use those. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle. And you do want this solid with score tape, because you don't want it wrinkling or pulling up. I have a little gap right here. I'm going to grab my 1/8 of an inch tape and fill that in. Okay. Sorry if I was off camera. What I did is I put my 3 large 1-inch pieces of tape on, and then I filled in any spaces with smaller score tape, and I used the 1/8 of an inch right in there. So you do want it pretty solid on this. And we're going to take a look at it and see the directions. So this is correct. So I'm going to peel off this one side first. And I'm going to line this up. And I want about 3/4 of an inch. Oops. Here, and you want to make sure you get as straight as possible. And burnish that down. And then bring it around. So I'm going to go ahead and take the next tapes off. Bring this around. So it lines up. I'm going to burnish that. And then I'm going to take the rest of the tape off. And you should be able to line this up. Make sure if you have any tape sticking out over the end that you clean that up. Oops. Pull this up a little bit right here. And burnish that. So I've got a wrinkle right there I don't like, but I'm going to ink that. We're going to work with that. So make sure you get it down as smooth as you can. So if you have a wrinkle, it's going to pull like that. And when I rubbed it, with my burnishing it tore some of the paper there. So I'm just going to ink that with the brown. Okay. That should turn out okay. So it's a little rustic there. I may put something over that little edge there, but I kind of like that. So next we're going to be doing our closure piece here in the center. So let me get the eyelet and my closure piece for that. It's going to be a little hard to see me punching the hole, but what I've done is I've measured, this is 6.5 long. So I put a mark at 3 1/4 pretty much in the center here. And I have set this to use the biggest hole punch. So I'm going to run this through here, and I'm going to look before I squeeze and make sure the head is going to go, or the punch is going to go into the mark that I did. So there it is. Now I'm going to switch this for eyelet setting. So I have picked my eyelet, and I want the finished part to be here on the outside. So I'm going to flip this over and do it this way. Let's stick it back in. It's a little harder. Let me see here. First I gotta see. There it is. Line this up on the center part. Go. Pull that level down so that will flatten this out on the inside, and you have a finished edge here. And next I'm going to go from the inside. This is a Tim Holtz elastic closure. This is the kind you want if you buy the ones that are already put together to wrap around an album. It has the metal piece that keeps it on, and it is flat elastic. It's about 1/4 inch. If you can't find these, you can make your own. You need to buy the 1/4 inch flat elastic in the sewing department. And this one is made out of elastic that's about 6 inches. So you need a 12-inch piece of elastic. And then you would need to crimp it with something, some kind of jewelry crimper thing, or you could sew it just get creative and create you a closure piece here to hold it on. You could even put a ring or whatever that will keep it from going out of the hole. So now I'm going to kind of squish this down, and I'm going to feed it through the end opposite this metal piece. So you see this metal holds it in right there on the inside. And now it's on, and it's just going to wrap like this onto your little book. So you just flatten it out. So that's the book. I'm going to look at doing some decorating on this. It probably doesn't really need a whole lot because this is a print, but I'm going to see what I've got. And I like that part enclosed in that 1/2 inch there versus the quarter. The 1/4 inch is okay. So you see the difference. You still have this gap here. You're going to have that. So I'm going to finish that, and I'll probably do something here on the back to fix this wrinkle that I got. Probably another piece of paper or something, and I may add a piece over here on this side to kind of balance it all out. So that's the end of the tutorial part for this little flip folio for your summer and or fall camping trips or travels. Be sure to check out countrycraftcreations.com's online store for your scrapbooking supplies, your paper crafting. This paper collection again is the Simple Stories Happy Trails. I use the Artisan Craft cardstock, your art glitter glue, score tape, and the different collections, embellishments that come with the collection, the bits and pieces, and the chipboard stickers. And also you might want to get some twine, button twine ribbon. I did get in my kit, designer kit, the seam binding ribbon, but I haven't used it yet. I felt this kind of looked like more like fishing or more rustic, so that's what I used on this. But you can use whatever you choose to use, so either one works just fine. So I have 2 of the little folios finished that I designed for Country Craft Creations for my first September project. These are both made out of one paper collection, Simple Stories Happy Trails. So this is the first one I made, and it has the 1/4 inch space here. This is the second one I made with the 1/2 inch, and so I'm showing how to do the 1/4 inch one, and then I'll show you how to fix it and do it to 1/2, and I will give the 1/2 inch as part of the cutting guide. So I'm going to show you these finished ones real quick. This is the outside. I did use a Tim Holtz elastic on both of them for the closure. Some chipboard pieces from the collection, some of the cut-aparts, and the bits and pieces, and the pattern paper. I love how it turned out. So I kept it fairly flat, no flowers or anything for this one, so you just pull this loose, it opens up, and here we have a little magnetic piece that just sticks on with a magnet, and I wrapped some of the red button twine around and used a sticker or one of the little bits and pieces. I didn't have the sticker collection. So this unfolds, and you have a little tuck spot for a tag that I made. Some scraps of paper. This flap opens up, and then you have this piece in here that unfolds. That's out of the pattern paper. It also goes over the wrapped string to kind of hold it in place, and this goes in like this. This is a tuck spot out of some of the bits and pieces. A lot of photo mats that I cut out of the scraps, another cut apart. I love this, Don't Moose With Me. So those just slip down in there. You could add pictures in there. And then this, since this is a flap like this is also a booklet that no, that's a photo mat, sorry. One of the cut aparts here, some of the bits and pieces decorated up. So this closes up like that. Then in here we have the double flaps that opens to the top and the bottom. We have belly bands inside here with some photo mats, as well as here on this side. So I was able to make 2 different ones. This one's more for fishing and camping, the other one's for hiking and more hiking and camping. For a different look, I have here on these little doors, I used 2 brads and some of the button twine. And if you want to make sure your twine isn't raveling a lot, just take some of the art glitter glue and run it down the string to kind of strengthen it and to keep it from raveling. I may need to put a little bit more right here. So these little doors open up, and in here we have a small waterfall that goes to the side. So this just has 3 waterfall pieces here. And then I didn't glue the base down, so I do have a tag booklet here where you can add photos or journaling that just slides behind the whole section of this waterfall here. So this just closes up like this, and then this closes back down over it. Then on the right side we have another waterfall. I love these bits and pieces that come with the collection for the fishing. So this opens up, it is held closed with a magnet. So you have a place for a tuck spot for a photo mat here behind the tree in the Explorer. And then this flips down, and you also have another place down here. And then all these waterfalls pages here, the back sides are not matted so that you can put a photo and not add as much bulk, but I did mat each page with the different papers. I just love these papers. And then on the very final one, I made a pocket out of some pattern paper and just added in some little tags from the bits and pieces that you can add in there. And this one I made and added one of the bits and pieces. So this closes up like that. I love this fishing paper here with the looking down in the water. Whoops, I didn't close this one up right. So this goes here and here. Okay, so that's that one. And it closes with the flat elastic closure here. Just wraps around it, and if it gets twisted up, you just kind of twist it around and flatten it up some more from the back side. So there's that one. So this second one that I made, that I show you on the tutorial how to make, same type of closure, different papers from the collection. This one does have the 1/2 inch space here to give a little more room within here. You still have this where it kind of gaps open, but that's just the way it's made with this. I used chipboard pieces on here, added some of the cut aparts, and then this just pulls open. So it's made the same way. This here is a little tent under the string that's held on with a magnet right here. So that just slides under there. And then this opens back. We have the same treatment. We have a tag I made, but I'll use different bits and pieces. The flap here. This has a tuck spot here with some of the photo mats I made. Cut apart. Open this up. I use this cut apart to make this place holder for this photo mat here that goes under there. And then this has the booklet too, held by the campfire. So you can put pictures there, and this goes over the wrapped twine. Like that. So this goes, yeah. And then I had to see how it closes. And then this is your waterfall opening up, where you have the belly bands at the top and the bottom. We've got photo mats that have the paper on both of these. So I just used, for these, I used some of the cut aparts, the 2x2s. And then again we have the string closure with the brads. And this opens up. So we have the little waterfall here in the center. This, I used some of the cut aparts for the paper on that. And again we have a tag that I made booklet that goes underneath. So that wraps back up. Oops. Sometimes it's a little tight under those brads, but you just really pull on there to get that under there like that. And this closes back up. I always forget to put these flaps down like that. And then of course here's the elastic here in the center. And then this one I did some layering and used some of the cut aparts, some of the bits and pieces. Opens up. I love the star paper. Up here we have, I added cut around a cut apart to get that look. So I have a craft photo mat, and then this little booklet here that I made. Just take your scraps and layer and do different treatments with it. You can just stick that under there if you want to, or just let it hang here like this. Then we have the waterfalls. Make sure you can see that. The waterfalls, same way, they're left plain craft at the top. Different papers in each section. You pattern that. And then in here we have the pocket, where from a cut apart, I cut it out. It says Lake Rules, and I made a couple of tags here, a tag and a cut apart. This is actually was cut off of that one, and then a photo mat. Just tucks in there, and then down here at the bottom, this little place setting or placeholder. Place settings for dinner. So this is some more of the scraps of paper that just tucks in behind there. And close it all up. And there's the little book. So
thank you so much for watching and following along. Please check out again countrycraftcreations.com for your crafting supplies. If you haven't done so already, please click subscribe for my YouTube channel, and also click on the bell so you'll know when my next video is ready. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.